Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. And I have a wonderful show today. I've been waiting for this show actually for a number of weeks. At the DotCom magazine, when we talk about leaders in the field, leaders in this space, it's always great to bring a leader in their respective field on the show, because there's so much to learn. I mean, when we talk about sort of the 800-pound gorilla in the room, we're talking about this company called Arise Virtual Solutions, and everybody in the space knows about Arise. And we've been able to book on the show today Mr. Robert Padron, and he is the EVP and Chief Growth Officer at Arise Virtual Solutions. Talk about growth. I mean, they're just bursting at the seams. So obviously he's doing a great job. And you know, when we think about sort of customer service and we think about how important that is to companies, I mean, whether it's small to mid-sized companies or Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 companies or the top 10 biggest companies in the world, everybody needs superior customer service. And that's what sets them apart. And what Arise does, it's puts their clients in the position to have this amazing customer service. There's so much to unpack. Let's first off start by thanking Robert for coming on the show, and welcome to the DotCom magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Thanks so much for having me, Andy. Super excited to be here.
It's great to have you. I mean, everybody knows about Arise. You've got a huge worldwide platform. Before we get started, though, let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet, Robert. Tell everybody about Arise, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Arise started in '97 with a mission to change the way the world works. And we have definitely charted that course over the last 25 plus years. Our mission is to help our customer base increase their share of wallet and grow their customer base and have really meaningful customer experiences that allow for that. And we do that by leveraging the gig economy and our network of over 75,000 service partners and professionals providing exemplary work to all of our customers on a daily basis. And quantities of millions of interactions a year running through our platform. And we're excited to provide those results to those customers.
Yeah, the results are awesome. And your customers typically achieve more than, a 25% reduction in the total cost of their contact center services or more. There's so many great things that happen. Let's talk about it. What types of companies reach out to Arise and they say, hey, we've heard about it. We want to get involved. We want to, get into the platform. Who reaches out to you and what's their big problem right now?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Andy. Retail and e-commerce and travel and hospitality customers were very early adopters of the Arise platform. When you think about core value propositions, we're a great complementary solution to traditional CX providers and or internal operations by enabling really prescriptive scheduling to truly meet customer demand and make sure there's a readily available and well-certified resource that can handle that interaction when that customer reaches out for support. And because we can do that on these 30-minute incremental basis, it really creates this significant elasticity to do more volume and more contact handling with customers with fewer resources. It's really just math. We're just putting people at the places where customers need them most and not where they don't. So at the end of the day, it just simplifies it for the brand and it simplifies it for the customer. Now, fast forward to today, we're seeing firms in the healthcare space, banking and financial services, who really understand over the last 2 years as we've been dealing with the pandemic, and hopefully everybody watching this and you, Andy, your families are doing well in these crazy times. But we're finding these firms who are more comfortable with their work being done at home because they see naturally people just really want to do a good job. And they can do that from the comfort in their own home. So when you match that to the demographic of service partner on the Arise network, with them being average age 38, 62% college educated, these are folks that have experiences with these brands that actually can create this synergistic excitement about the product because they themselves more than likely are super users of that brand's product and or service.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. And of course, you deliver, engaging experiences, with industry leading flexibility. And really what you become is a brand advocate for your clients. So let's talk about that, the brand advocacy combined with delivering the engaging experience and how those work together.
Yeah, we believe there's four critical elements to our success. The first is to be there. Our goal is to engage with customers on their time and channel to improve satisfaction. The second is to be aware. We want to make sure that we're building enduring relationships to drive customer growth. The third is we want to be essential, right? We want to deliver best-in-class CX across every customer touch point. And lastly, we want to be efficient. We want to make sure we're optimizing costs with secure technology that also reduces environmental impact. So when you think about the how we do that, I talked a little bit about how we're there for customers with our innovative scheduling platform that enables gig economy resources to deliver sometimes up to 200% intraday flex. We're aware of customer needs because not only are many of the service partners supporting these customers of that brand themselves, but we put in place virtual first remote learning practices that reduce the speed to proficiency by 30%. And we're essential and deliver best-in-class CX, not only because we have these amazing service partners on the platform, but also because we use science to define where innovation can improve the CX experience while allowing our customers to build, test, and deploy solutions in our lab that then help generate an improved end result for their customer at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's such a powerful approach. Let's get into the flex a little bit more because that's one of the things that really separates you from the field and really makes you this go-to company with CX. Let's get into flex. Let's talk about the capabilities and why that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, at the end of the day, every customer interaction matters more than ever. And when you think about the contact center industry, it's been built around this premise of acceptable failure, that 80% of the calls should be answered in 30 seconds. Well, we believe in a world where if the customer calls, regardless when they do so, they should get a response in 5 seconds or less. Why can't there be a world in which the staffing is done to plan against the customer demand? And what that needs elasticity. We know forecasting is both an art and a science. So there's a practical approach to say, hey, we need X number of individuals to handle chats in these 30-minute increments. Well, Arise, we can do that where there's no need for 8-hour blocks. There's no need for 4-hour blocks. The agents will sign up and service the time that the customer needs their support for. But more importantly, it's the art element of forecasting whereby an email blast goes out that marketing planned a week later, but it happened today. Well, you need a response to that if it goes out early. And because we have this elastic model and technology in place, if that blast goes out and you need incremental support in real time, Arise at the snap of a finger can leverage our technology to send an SMS blast, an outbound blast, phone call blast, an email blast to every agent that's contracted to support that customer saying, hey, if you're home and available, log in and service now. And that's what creates the opportunity for us to flex up to sometimes 200% in short notice in order to support that particular need. And that really is being there for the customer at their time of need. So when you think about flexibility, we think about it in 3 ways. 1, the prescriptive scheduling we do in 30-minute increments. 2, that burstable capacity I just described. But the last element is really supporting customers during their seasonal needs. We know for our retail and e-commerce customers, they need people to be crisp and well-educated and online for the holiday period. That may be a short stint where they need them, and they may not need them after that. For customers we have in the financial services space, there's benefits, right, that come around or taxes that come around. There are also these seasonal elements of customer business that they need folks on for. So we cover not only the dynamic scheduling, the burstable capacity, but also can help support for those seasonal needs that customers have as well.
Yeah, I love it. This elastic model makes all the sense in the world. And as well as, of course, having this elastic model, one thing that's very interesting, I feel, is you also make a commitment to this enhanced security. So that's a very powerful part of your platform as well. Let's talk about how Arise, uses a tiered approach to security, really to minimize the outsourced customer service risk.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we know at the end of the day, it's incumbent upon us to make sure the brand is protected. And we've really perfected Gig CX security. We've been doing this work at home for over 25 years, right? So we didn't just happen into this. 2 years ago as a byproduct of the pandemic, we've been perfecting this model over the last 25 years. So you would think about things that are really, really important to customers. We have a decentralized infrastructure, so there is no single point of failure. We have clearly defined security information and event management protocol. We have a service partner background and registration process that enforces, the standard background check requirements we have in place for these folks. We do a full technology assessment every time an individual logs in to provide service, right? That their machine has not been tampered with. If so, we prevent them providing access through our Arise Secure Desktop, which is 100% tied to the schedules that individuals have selected to service. So if for some reason an agent or a nefarious character is attempting to log in to our platform at 7:00 a.m. in the morning and they're not scheduled to 8:00 a.m., well, guess what? They're not going to be able to because they have no business attempting to do so. And that flags us and lets us know, hey, there's potentially something for research. But even better, they never get access to the tools that they need to potentially do some form of nefarious activity. We've got automated security checks every 30-minute interval. We have our AI and ML contact analysis. And then it goes without saying, we've invested in voice biometrics and facial recognition that really allows us to help a customer understand we know who's supporting your customer from the comfort of their own home, and they are who they say they are, and we're good to go. We're going to allow them entry into the platform.
Yeah, it's powerful, Robert. Of course, enhanced security is very important. And, this elastic model, this flex model you talk about is, you're leading the charge, world-class opportunity. But one thing that's interesting about it is when you hear about everything you do, people might be saying to themselves, wow, this must cost, an arm and a leg. But the truth of it is people achieve an incredible reduction in the total cost of their contact center services by using your platform, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we like to think about turning it from a cost center to a profit center and really understanding total partnership value, right? So there are elements of an entire ecosystem that need to be considered here. And that's not just the cost associated with the contact center expense and how we can help reduce that with this prescriptive scheduling, but it's also as a byproduct of improving abandonment or as a byproduct of improving service levels, the opportunity to generate more revenue because you're able to handle a greater percentage of the calls, right? So if you're converting at a 27%, let's say, conversion rate, and let's say that's the target, but you're handling now 97% of the volume versus 90% of the volume, you can just add up those sales very easily, right? That then drop to the bottom line for a customer, right? So there are a number of things as we think about transitioning from a cost center to a profit center that we think about as we deliver back to prospective customers. Hey, here's what Arise will deliver for a total partnership value perspective. And cost around the CX experience is just an element. It's how are you making sure that that cost is translating into improved organizational results?
Yeah, I love it. It's so interesting. We know you work with some of the biggest companies in the world. Is there a sweet spot? In other words, is there a company that's maybe too small for the Arise platform, or do you handle a full suite of all different types of companies from A to Z?
Yeah, we really do handle all types of companies from A to Z. And when you think about some of the smaller customers we have in the ecosystem, they're really edge use cases, right? Extreme white glove experience, right? Maybe an element of it, right? You may think about account executive or customer success type roles that are really smaller in quantity, but really impactful to the bottom line of an organization. And then we handle business that is, thousands upon thousands of agents supporting a traditional customer care or sales contact type. So we really cross the gamut. It really is about, can we craft a solution for you that will establish value for your business? And if that's the case, that's what we're about at Arise.
Yeah, it's powerful. Let's talk about the other end of the spectrum. You mentioned the gig economy, and of course, that's so exciting right now throughout the world. I mean, we talk about it all the time. How does that gig economy sort of fit into the puzzle at what you're doing at Arise?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, we foundationally believe that folks want to work in different ways. We saw it more than ever during the pandemic as we saw folks being concerned about being furloughed from jobs that they had had forever, simply as a byproduct of what was going on in the world. And while we traditionally thought about at home, as we think about a CX community, we traditionally thought of at home as some business continuity, right? I didn't have everybody in the building. I had some people at home. If something happened, the people at home could take care of things. But what we have seen over time it transitioned to more than ever is we're seeing folks think about business continuity from the perspective of, having multiple gigs. A 40-hour work week doesn't necessarily need to be a 40-hour employed work week. I can do one gig for 20 hours. I can do another gig for 15 and a gig for 5. And we're seeing folks register on our platform to have more, I would say, kind of security and safety in how their 40 hours a week are being arrived at. So if one drops out, they know they've got the other to hold through rather than just having everything dependent upon one actual job. Listen, the data would indicate that, by 2025, about 75% of the US would have taken at least one gig, right? And, that was research published by, a firm very reputable in the space, right? That was before pandemic. You can imagine that number has vastly increased since then. But it's expected that there's over 38 million individuals in the gig economy today, right? And as we think about that quantity of individuals, right, that's a lot of individuals who are highly capable and are looking for flexible part-time opportunities, the types of opportunities that Arise offers to them. And what we then do is connect them with major brands who are looking for highly capable individuals to create an improved brand experience, right? So when you think about, 38 million people, according to Small Business Labs, Gallup, Statistica, and Upwork, saying there's that many people in the gig economy, that speaks to the fact that there are people that want to work this way. And we're excited to help bring work to those individual workers.
Yeah, I love it. Let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but I'm a gigger. I'm down in Latin America. I'm in, maybe in Europe somewhere. I want to get involved in the gig economy. Maybe I'm what they call the digital nomad. Everybody knows that term now. How does it work? Do they log into the Arise platform and then from there they do all the work that needs to be done? And that's the way in which you control it and secure it and make sure that they're giving the flexibility and the world-class, customer service to your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's as simple as going to ariseworkfromhome.com, and that will start the process for them to register on the platform. We make the process very simple and easy, but we're also very clear about what our customers are looking for, right? So they're going to register on the platform, some basic demographic information, the stuff like if you're registering for any platform, right? That we'll want to know about you because we really want to make sure we know who you are and the fact that you are who you say you are, right? So there's some basic requirements around there. And then once we have you registered on the platform, right? And we know those things, then what you have the opportunity to do is take a look at the opportunities that exist on the Arise platform. And what we really put a lot of emphasis on is the gig worker picks who they want to service, right? So they say, there's something about this brand that I love. Maybe I'm a power user of it. Maybe it's the type of work I'm going to do. Maybe it's what I'm going to solve for this customer base I'm excited about. But that's what I want to do. We don't assign anyone. They get to pick. And there's power in that selection. And we know that's part of how we generate better results for our end customer.
Yeah, I love that. Let's stay with the gigger just for a second. I love that name, the gigger. So you have a gigger. It's a man or a woman, wherever they may be. Okay. And they're doing a really good job. I mean, your metrics are knocking the cover off the ball, and they're just locked and loaded. Mm-hmm. Does that gigger get more opportunity through the platform as they become better at what they do? How does that work?
Yes, it's a great question. Listen, we have what we call our STAR program at Arise, and what that does is it really enables the gigger on a particular client program that is high performing individual that's really delivering against all of their contractual KPIs. And it creates opportunity for them to not only get access to hours when they're released, but also to get the largest number of hours and also the largest amount of service revenue during that time period, right? So if an individual wants to, get 25 hours in a week and they want to work this exact time frame every single week, the best thing for them to do is deliver against their KPIs. And we have a great platform of really dedicated service partners who want to do that every single week. And they're always excited when that STAR report comes out and they see their results and they know what their reward is going to be for delivering that.
Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about corporate culture a little bit, because at your company, I mean, you're known from top to bottom, left to right, sideways from Monday, about this great sort of attitude, this great corporate culture. And of course, it starts and starts at the top with the leadership. And of course, as the chief growth officer, as you help grow the company, one of the most important things is the attitude of the culture. How do you get that attitude of Arise to go into the giggers and make sure they have that great attitude when they wake up in the morning and they're ready to roll and provide that, superior customer service throughout all the brands that you help throughout the world?
Yeah, and it's a great question, Andy. It really is a double-sided benefit, right? We are excited about the fact that we've built this business to enable folks who don't want a traditional 9 to 5 to be able to have work revolve around life versus the other way around. That if they want to stay at home with their kids, if they want to help during homework hours, right? If they're a retiree, but they just can't retire, they got to do something, right? Or if they need to be mobile across the U.S., right? Because their spouse or significant other continues to move, right? Or, right, if at the end of the day they can't work outside of the home, right? We're just happy and excited to have created a place where we can empower individuals such as that to be able to have work opportunity at the end of the day. So that powers the individuals that work at Arise directly. And what we do to make sure that the ecosystem of service partners has the same level of excitement and a passion about what we're both working on building is we're really transparent and clear about what we're attempting to accomplish. We're attempting to engage in relationships with individuals who want to work differently. We're clear on, if you want traditional employment, this is probably not where you're going to be happy, because this is where giggers live, right? So we want the giggers, we want them to join the platform, right? So we're really transparent and clear about what we do offer, and we're really transparent and clear about what we don't, to make sure that as we're building this ecosystem, which has evolved over the years to now more than 75,000 service partners on the platform across the US, UK, Canada, and now entering into Latin America markets, we want to make sure that folks know that this is the place of choice for individuals in the gig economy that want to provide CX support to end customers.
I love it. It's so great. Let's talk about the other side of the coin. I know you've only cut out a certain amount of time for me. I want to get into entrepreneurship quickly, but before we do, let's talk about the clients. Because sometimes people are listening to a show like this and they're saying, wow, Robert and the team, they figured this all out, but it sounds like it's a very complicated sort of integration to be a client of Arise Virtual Solutions. But I know you've completely figured that out and made it a very seamless integration with your platform. So maybe you could just briefly touch on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it takes less than 90 days for a customer to be live on our platform, right? And I will tell you, customers and our surveys of them, as we do kind of implementation surveys, they're always like, wow, you guys probably could have done it in 4 weeks. It's us, right? It's the typical, it's me, not you, et cetera. But our focus, having done this for the last 25 years, is we really have a significant amount of pedigree in the steps it takes to onboard someone onto our platform, and experience with all the technologies and tools that really do make it a seamless transition from a customer going from what their current operation is and adding Arise as a partner in their ecosystem. All we do is ask them to allow us to do what we do best, and the rest just happens.
Yeah, I love it. It's so powerful. It's really become its own sort of, I'm going to use the word creature. It's just this living, breathing business that you've put together that really is just healthy, and it's almost like it's doing sprint training every single day, and the lungs are getting stronger and the brain's getting bigger with the artificial intelligence that you have. It's fantastic. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. You've got a great entrepreneurial journey yourself, but let's talk to the younger entrepreneurs watching the show. Maybe they're watching you right now, Robert. They're saying, wow, he's the chief growth officer of this great company. They might be saying, has Robert ever hit a pothole? Has he ever hit a pothole in the road? Because when we see successful people, we think that it was all smooth sailing, but we all know that we all have these potholes, right? So maybe you could talk to the younger entrepreneurs watching the show, maybe some of the future giggers that are going to come on the Rise platform, and tell them what it takes to keep on pushing when things get tough as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. Andy, in my experience, perseverance always tops the list at the end of the day, right? And perseverance and an attitude of kindness and the relentless pursuit of excellence, right? When you take kindness and combine that with a relentless pursuit of excellence, you've got an amazing recipe for an individual who's going to have a positive impact on the world, but at the same time isn't settling for anything less than their personal best. And that's really what we and the leadership team at Arise have attempted to build as an organization that's really focused on those areas. Listen, at the end of the day, one of the reasons I joined Arise was because I met a number of entrepreneurs who became entrepreneurs as a byproduct of their relationship with Arise, right? They started a business and joined the Arise platform and have now grown their business to 100, 150 individuals on their team actually supporting customers of Arise through the Arise platform. And I love the fact that we could help other individuals start businesses by partnering with our business. And that was powerful. I remember meeting an individual who led a firm called Work at Home Solutions. And she described for me the story that she was passionate about partnering with Arise, but what she was passionate about was bringing other women into her company, showing them how to be entrepreneurs, and then allowing them to go build a business at Arise. That doesn't happen many places, and I'm proud to say it happens here. And it's one of the things that gets me up every morning.
Yeah, it's so super cool. So you can have a gigger that starts off as a gigger at Arise, and then they say to themselves, I think I could sort of build my platform within Arise and start bringing other giggers into my system, into my business, and then use the Arise platform that I've already learned to integrate my company to start my own company, almost like an entrepreneurial entrepreneur's business, right?
Absolutely.
I
like
love
to think we're powering small businesses across the US, UK, and Canada.
Wow, Robert, I love it so much. And something that you said really resonated. I mean, I'm going to have to steal it from you. I'm going to have to tell you right now, I'm going to be using this line.
Feel free. I probably stole it from someone else.
I love it. The kindness and relentless pursuit of excellence. I mean, so powerful. I mean, yeah, that's what it's all about. And that's one of the keys to success. I mean, for the younger entrepreneurs that are watching the show, rewind what Robert just said. Listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you're super busy. I mean, this is great to have what I call the 800-pound gorilla in the room on the show, so we could learn from what you're doing at Arise. And congratulations. I know that this expansion through Europe also is going to be a major positive thing for so many of the giggers out there and so many of the companies that are going worldwide. And
yes,
Robert, it's been great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me, Andy. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to say, Robert, before you go, I'm thinking that the book that you're going to write is going to be called The Gigger, because I love that so much.
I know I'm going to have to give you some royalties. I love that. The Gigger.